Hot takes, great debates, highlights, basketball. Oh man, you have to love Kyrie Irving. I don't want to leave this out in the air. I want to be clear because I don't work for anyone. I want to be clear. I am not a fan of Kyrie Irving the person. Let's just not even leave it lingering. We talk about Kyrie a lot on my platform. I'm just not a fan of Kyrie the person. Like people, I know there are a lot of people who don't care for Kevin Durant. I have no problems with KD. I think he's kind of sensitive, a little too heavy on the social media side. But I mean, that's his life. I have no problems with KD. I think he's a phenomenal basketball player. And I think Kyrie Irving's a great basketball player as well. Let's be clear. I think Kyrie's probably a bad person. A bad person to hang around. It's an overall weirdo. Just my opinion. Kyrie Irving has been back for 3 games, I believe, with the Nets after he missed about 20-something games with a shoulder injury. Well, Kyrie's back, and what comes with this phenomenal basketball talent is his mouth before and after games. And to me, that's been probably the worst part of Kyrie Irving thus far in his he's on the pace to be a Hall of Fame player. If he continues the statistical pace and he wins one more ring, he'll definitely make the Hall of Fame. So I want to read to you guys 3 comments from Kyrie Irving, either before or after a game, since Kyrie's been back. All right? Kyrie Irving starts off the week by calling out his Nets teammates following a 117-106 loss to Philly. Here's what Kyrie said. He said, I mean, it's pretty transparent out there. It's glaring. In terms of the pieces that we need in order to be at the next level. Again, Kyrie in this game, because he did have a really good first game back, but in his second game back against Philly, he dropped 14 points on 6 for 21 shooting. If I was that bad at my job, I probably would shut up. But Kyrie continues. He says, I'm going to continue to reiterate this. We're going to do the best with the guys that we have in our locker room now, and we'll worry about all the other stuff in terms of moving pieces and everything else as an organization down the line this summer. Collectively, I feel like we have great pieces, but it's pretty glaring. We need one more piece or 2 more pieces that will complement myself, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan, Garrett Temple, Spencer Dinwiddie, Caris LeVert, and we'll see how that evolves. You can see how that could piss off teammates like a Joe Harris, one of the best shooters in the game, a Taurean Prince, a guy who goes out and competes every night, Jared Allen, a defender at the rim, an athletic big who was there before DeAndre Jordan. Like, how Kyrie gonna come into that organization and start talking about pieces that's gonna be there long term when he just got there? And in his first season there, he's missed most of the season. He's already talking about getting rid of other pieces. I personally believe the team's better without Kyrie Irving at point guard. You had to get Kyrie because you had to get Kevin Durant, right? You got to take the both. That's the only way you would have got KD. So, okay, leave those comments where they're at. Let's fast forward to what Kyrie Irving said to clean those comments up, or he was supposed to clean those comments up. He said this: it's not like I'm an asshole yelling at everybody in a freaking locker room all the time. I'm going to continue to push, and I'm going to continue to demand greatness out of myself and demand greatness out of my teammates. We go from there. If it's harsh as a leader or it's too much for anybody, you're not in our locker room, stay the fuck out. It's simple as that. Again, that was supposed to be the cleanup, and according to one of the Brooklyn Nets reporters, Kyrie Irving did address the team privately, and he said something along the lines of, I probably should have reworded those comments and said a couple other names. But again, you almost see Kyrie Irving double down on those comments. I'm sorry, I got the Celtics-Lakers game playing right now. Ironically, the team that Kyrie was on last year, the Celtics are actually beating the Lakers, the best record in the Western Conference right now. They look like a much better team without Kyrie. Anywho, it's Martin Luther King Day, ladies and gentlemen. Kyrie Irving is out versus the Philadelphia 76ers. He did not play. The Nets did lose at home, but they did play a lot better this time around than when they played Philly earlier in the week when Kyrie was 6 for 21 and called out his teammates. The Nets did lose again. They lost by 5, though, 112-107, I believe. Here's what Kyrie Irving, who's not even playing in this game, here's what he said before the game, and these are the weirdest comments I've seen Kyrie make outside of saying that the earth is flat, not round. He said, when I was out for those 7 weeks and not saying anything, and still people are saying things about me, it's inevitable. Happy Martin Luther King's Day, everybody, by the way. Kyrie says they crucified Martin Luther King for speaking about peace and social integration. You can go back to historical leaders and great people in society that do great things, and they're still going to talk shit about them. It is what it is. Kyrie Irving just compared himself to one of, if not, and I do believe Martin Luther King is the greatest human to ever live. The greatest human. Okay. Let me start here by acknowledging, and I don't know what Kyrie does in his community. I'm sure he does a lot, though, because I don't want to disrespect that, what he does with kids. I don't want to disrespect that. I'm sure Kyrie Irving does a lot in his community, and for that should be commended. So I want to start there by saying I'm sure Kyrie does a lot for his community, and we don't need to sleep on that. You don't have to do anything. And the NBA does a great job with the NBA Cares program and all that. They do a great job. So I don't want to crap on that. I want to acknowledge that first. And second off, like I said earlier in the video, I want to acknowledge that Kyrie Irving is a phenomenal basketball player. I don't want to ever get that misunderstood. Kyrie's a top 15 talent in this league. I wouldn't put him as a top 15 player in this league because he's not a leader. To me, he's not a second option on the team. When you start talking about one or two options on the team, I believe at that point, you need to have some type of leadership capabilities. I don't believe Kyrie Irving possesses that. I don't think he's a leader. I think he's a third option on the team. A number one talent, but a third option because he's not a leader. He doesn't know what to say. Every time this dude talks, it gets worse. The only thing that's ever covered up Kyrie Irving and his mouth was the year the Cavs won the championship when LeBron was around, right? Because he made the shot of all shots to end that season, to beat the Warriors in the finals in 7 games. So the following year, Kyrie could talk a little bit because he was a champion who made that shot. Outside of that, Kyrie has had minimal success in this league. Let's not forget his first few years in Cleveland. He was injury prone and that team was piss poor awful. It's a reason why the Cavaliers were able to get LeBron James and Kevin Love back to Cleveland. Let's be clear. LeBron left Miami to go back to Cleveland. Part of the reason why LeBron went back to Cleveland was because he knew they could get a third option in Kevin Love. How were the Cavs able to get a third option? They traded the guy that they had just drafted at number 1, Andrew Wiggins, remember? The Cavs don't get Kevin Love if they don't have the number 1 pick to entice the T-Wolves to make the trade. So let's put that in perspective. The reason why the Cavs had the number 1 pick, remember this is before they implemented the new draft lottery, right? So pretty much if you were awful, you had a really good chance of getting a top 3 pick. The Cavs were awful under Kyrie Irving's tutelage. Him and Dion Waiters were piss poor bad together as a collective. So we understand that. Also in Boston those 2 years, in the first year with Boston, they were great in the regular season. Kyrie Irving got injured around March or April-ish. He couldn't finish the season. Boston got eliminated in the postseason. The second year in Boston, Kyrie Irving, not a great performance. They get ousted in the second round to Milwaukee. They would have lost in the first round had Victor Oladipo been healthy for the Pacers. I mean that. First year in Boston, Kyrie Irving's been in Brooklyn, Kyrie Irving's been injured all season. So this dude that has so much to say, literally every time he talks, I feel like he makes something worse. Kyrie's the guy in the room who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's just really not that smart. I don't care what his education says. I don't care. He's just not that smart. Phenomenal basketball talent, not that smart. This dude just compared himself to Martin Luther King, the one of the greatest, if not the greatest man ever walked this earth. Kyrie, since you want to use MLK on MLK Day, let's break this down. You don't lead like Martin Luther King. Reportedly, as your Cavaliers team at the time was making their playoff push 26-17, you stopped talking to your teammates in the locker room for 2 weeks. In the playoffs, you wouldn't talk to your teammates. You think Martin Luther King could go without talking to his other men around him or whoever his team was around him? You think he could go 2 weeks without talking to his team? Kyrie, I'm looking at this Jaylen Brown interview that he just did. He said last year was one of the worst years of his life. He said he cut his hair off because he wanted to forget everything associated with last season. Yes, the Celtics have gotten guys like Enes Kanter. They've drafted guys like Grant Williams, Taco Fall and company. Edwards as well, Carson Edwards as well. But for the most part, that's that same Celtics group under the same head coach. Brad Stevens, Marcus Smart still there. Gordon Hayward still there. Jason Tatum still there. Tice is still there. You want to know what pretty much is the biggest change for the Celtics? Their starting point guard is no longer you, it's Kemba Walker. Jaylen Brown, one of your teammates, admitted that last year was one of the worst years of his life. Marcus Morris won't even talk about Kyrie Irving. Go ask him. He won't even talk about Kyrie Irving. That season was so bad last year. Family, you're not as smart as you think you are. You're a phenomenal basketball talent. But just because you're great on that court and you can sound intelligent, it doesn't mean you're that intelligent, because you're not, or you don't perceive to be. You say a lot of stupid stuff, bro. To be a leader of a team, you call out teammates while they're still on your team. You take the GM's job and say, well, this offseason we're going to get some guys out there. Maybe you're the piece that needs to leave. Maybe the Nets need to look into trading you and let Spencer Dinwiddie run point guard. Maybe you're the piece that needs to leave. This dude talks like he for sure can never get traded. If the Nets have a bad year next year with KD back, the following year, Kyrie's name should be in the trading block. Phenomenal offensive talent. Not a great defender, not a good defender in this league, and for damn sure not a leader. The hell is this dude talking about comparing himself to Martin Luther King? What? You are not Martin Luther King, man. You are not. You don't go through issues like Martin Luther King. You make hundreds of millions of dollars to get injured every year. That's what you do. And you have one championship that no one can ever take away from you. But I promise you, I ask of you, I don't want to be the LeBron green lighter here. But please, we have to put more respect on LeBron's championship in Cleveland. Look at Kyrie without LeBron. The Nets might not make the playoffs this year. The Celtics got bounced last year. He wasn't available the year before that. He was awful in Cleveland without LeBron. Look at Kevin Love. Awful. Team's awful. Piss poor awful. All I'm saying is I think Kyrie Irving needs to shut the hell up. That's really what I'm saying. I thank you guys so much for the time. Love support. I don't take it for granted. Kyrie Irving, a.k.a. Martin Luther Kyrie. I'm sick of it. I'm out. You into sports, we got you. NFL news, I got you. NBA news, NBA highlights, NBA full coverage, feature stories, all that great stuff, I got you. We even got a little bit of Madden and 2K mixed in. Subscribe to this platform, and I got you. More quality content on the way. Subscribe.